welcome to our final challenge of the day, challenge number 8. Now, for many of you, this creative prompt might have been the most challenging. For this challenge, we wanted to see your designs using contrasting colors. Now, the easiest that comes to mind, of course, is black and white. But for some of you to purposefully use purple and yellow or red and green outside of the holidays, to sit down and think about how to use those contrasting colors can be a bit challenging. But I bet many of you already do it in your designs without even realizing it. Nearly all my designs use contrasting colors to create pop, to create visual interest. And you know that there is a pop or that there's a visual interest, but maybe you don't know exactly why. Chances are it's the contrasting colors. For our final challenge today, we have guest designer Kristine. She is a natural instructor. You are going to learn so much information as she gives you her take on contrasting colors. And to top it off, she recently had surgery, and even despite all of that, she was very willing to dive in, to take on the challenge, and to produce this video for you. Check it out.
Hi, my name's Kristine Shaw, and I'd like to welcome you all to challenge number 8. Can you believe this day has gone so fast? You're already at number 8. So, a little bit about myself. First, I want to explain why I'm sitting and not standing. I just had surgery about almost 5 weeks ago, and it's still quite difficult to stand for a long period of time. So I figured I would sit and then show you my individual projects on a different screen so you can just look right at them. A little bit about myself. I have been scrapbooking since I was 10 years old. I turned 60 the end of May, and so that's 50 years of scrapbooking. It wasn't what we have today. I think my book said scrapbook on it, but it was construction paper. And I put all my little middle school and my horse trophies and ribbons and everything on those pages. And when we would visit my father, we would collect matchbook covers. Yes, kids could take the matchbooks then. And I would attach them into the page because they said what restaurant we ate at. So yes, I was 10 years old. I am a mother of 3 boys. My eldest is Matthew. He's getting married in October 3rd. My second is Zachary, and he is married to my lovely daughter-in-law, Maggie. And my son, Lucas, is still single, but getting his master's degree, so he's quite busy right now. I have to tell you, challenge number 8 inspired me so much because I've always loved taking pattern paper and matching colors to it and finding embellishments. And all I can say is 50 years of scrapbooking, my scrap room is full. I took over the master bedroom. It's that full. So anyways, let me switch over to what the projects will look like, and then you can see where I went with this project. So contrasting colors are colors that are directly across from each other on a simple color chart. This is a color chart. Andrea is going to introduce this into playing with paper, and she will include a chart for you. But I wanted just to start because in order to understand the contrasting colors, you need to know what they are. There are 3 primary colors. There's yellow, red, and blue. I know a lot of people think green is a primary color, but there's only 3. So if you look at red and you go directly across, you can see that green becomes its contrasting color, meaning these two can coincide in a page even if they don't look like they should. And then you've got blue and orange, and then you've got yellow and purple. So these are the contrasting colors that when on a very simple color wheel will show you what goes with everything. There are a few other little things you can add like hues and, like Anything that's in the red, red violet, and red orange will also go with that, and greens, pardon me, and green, but we're not getting into that part today. Andrea's going to delve deeper into it when she does playing with paper. So let me start with the first project I have for you. All right, so this project that I made, I had paper that had the Evil Queen and this rotten to the core. So I fussy cut it all out, and then I sponged it with the purple to make it a little deeper coloring than the white, the bright white. Then I took all the papers that were in my bougie bag, and I created this page. Let me make sure I get it in the camera. I'm going to do one side at a time so you can see. All right, so you can see here I brought in the yellow by using brads here, and then I put in a purple heart, and over here is a purple brad. And you just learned about rules of 3 or odd numbers on a page. Items should always be in a triangular form. So I have 1, 2, 3 yellow here, 1, 2, 3 flowers, the hat, this embellishment also are in 3s. So I have an odd numbers of every kind of embellishment that I put on this page. I use the glitter that Andrea gave us. Love the glitter. It just pops every single page. These are Doodlebug Petites patterns. So I did the purple and then I did the gold. And because it was so white, this strip here, I sponged it with the newest colors. So the sponging I used was the newest purple in the 2026 Powder Puff inks and the newest yellow in there. And then page 2, I did very much the same, but instead of banners, I put the paper in full. I only had one sheet of each of these papers, and I needed to use it on the other side, so I just cut in the middle of all these squares except for the top one, so I could use that paper that's behind it to do what I needed it to do. Again, I did yellow and purple, and it's hard to see on the camera, but on the red apple and on the red heart, I put glaze, so they pop a little better. They don't pop so well on the video, but they really do. They shine and shimmer. I think it could catch a little bit of the shimmer on it. And then another challenge you learned today was hitting journaling. I have done hitting journaling almost on everything. I scrapbook because I don't like my handwriting. I'm quite shaky with my hands, so I don't like to write anything. I do write, but I like to hide it behind. So I put in a journaling pop here, and then I put the yellow brads and a yellow ribbon on top of the purple. This page doesn't have any pictures on it right now because my husband and I are going to Disney in October. So I wanted to save it for when we go to the trip and I can come home and just put my pictures. And luckily I know what position they are, so I know kind of how to focus those pictures for this page. All right, so that's the first one I made. The second 2 are actually Andrea's designs, but I asked permission to show you. I put them together myself as a paper kit, but I asked permission to show you because she has done the work for you. All my years of crafting and scrapbooking, I've always loved to do my own pages, but I've also always loved to paper piece. So with the whole kit and caboodle, it's pretty simple because pieces are cut for me. I get the joy of paper piecing without having to cut it all with my Cricut. I am a Cricut girl, and I do cut a lot of layouts on my Cricut, but it's nice every now and then to have it done for you. And the thought work. The thought of the work and thoughts of the different papers really help as well. So you could start with a neutral. That never goes in any of the contrasting colors, but you can see following it through, you can see the purples and the oranges all right in here. She brought the gold in down here and the purples, and all these purples accent so well. And then she used the contrasting white, black, gray. Again, this is from Doodlebug, these 2 papers. And this is an amazing scrapbook page to put together. Here's page 2. I'm going to kind of overlap it a little this way so you can see what I want to show you. If you see, your eyes go this way, right? You start with the Haunted Mansion side and you end up with the Welcome Foolish Mortals. Andrea did an awesome job of pulling over this teal to add to the page, yet still keeping it primarily purple and yellow. I love that so much. It just ties in the ghost, makes them feel spookier. And then you've got the purple and gold, which always makes me think of Halloween and ghosts. So this was a perfect page to show. All right, I got one more in the purple and the yellow, and this also is in Andrea's design. This was my first crop-tacular event that I attended online during COVID, and it was all about the Little Mermaid. And it was so much fun, and the characters and the costumes. I know the video is still out there. You could watch it. It's just it was a fun, different type of day. And she did the same thing here. She started with the petite pattern here, and then she took the purples and went at an angle. And in Ursula, she has the purples in the tentacles, and then you could see the yellow in the conch shell. And the green in this case, believe it or not, portrays itself as a neutral because your eyes tend to lead to the purple and the yellow. So then she has Ariel here in the yellow moon, getting her voice taken away from her. And then if you look closely at these little fish, they are purple. So even though the paper's blue, they did the fish in purple, it pulls all that purple over to where it needs to be. And again, you've got the purple brads, and here's some more. And then she did the same thing by pulling in the turquoise. She put Jetson and Jopson. I forgot their names. I'm sorry. And they pulled that over. And so the purple comes across the entire time. Right here in the Don't Be. Right here in their eyes is the yellow. So that was this page. And again, the purple brads, or dots are here. And again, with neutral colors, it really pops that purple and that yellow. And even though the yellow wasn't that much, it was enough to really see it because they're contrasting colors and they will always look good together. Remember when Andrea opened the vault and we got the really cool die cuts from old kits? Not necessarily the old kit, but we got the die cuts. This came with quite a bit more, like Tigger was in a book. But I wanted to strictly take this orange Tigger, again, going to Disney, so I had to do a Disney page. And I love how the oranges are different shades and how they go together. So then I took the papers that were in my Bougie bag and I went with the blue that was included here. I chose the petite prints from Doodlebug. I did the graph side. And then I chose the neutral gray prints. Might not be so clear in this picture. Hold on, let me see if I can make it a little clearer for you. You can see the gray, the little flowers on that. And then this paper was in my kit. And I loved the same concept that Andrea had done with the Haunted Mansion by pulling over the different colors that were in here. So you got the blue. And even though it's yellow, I think yellow falls in that hue of orange. So I think the yellow enhances this page a little bit more. And of course, he's got pink in his nose, so that comes across as well. You're not going to be able to do strictly everything in just blue and orange. If you want depth and, want it to feel like it's popping off the page, you will have to add other colors. But you can start with the basics and then find a matching printed paper to say, oh, I love that. And these blues and these yellows kind of go with the orange. And the center of these are orange. Sorry, I'm from Ohio. I say orange, not orange. I live in New York right now. I've been in New York since I was young, but I was born in Ohio, so I still have some of the twang from being from Ohio. So again, I had this little blue flower with the orange button in my stash. Was really thrilled that I found that. And then Andrea had provided in the die cut, she had provided the blue circle and the blue heart, and then the yellow behind it. So I did this Tigger page. Again, I pulled in the blues with dots. I pulled in the oranges with dots. This one fell off. It's supposed to be up here. And so I just pulled that all together that way. So this one on the color wheel switches across from orange to blue. All right. Then I went on a more serious note. My husband works at the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York. And he has worked there, At the time of this page, it wasn't 39 years, but he started 39 years this February 1st. So these are from 2003, these pictures. So what I did is I took out papers that I had in my stash. Some were also from the Bougie Bag. I picked out designs that I really liked, but when I picked out this bird and this was part of the bottom piece, I was like, there's no way I want to cut that out, but I don't want to put pictures over it. So how can I bring that bird into this page of the pictures I have? So then I started thinking, well, I love to paper piece, so why don't I paper piece the whole page? So I took the blue background paper, cardstock, and I used that as a base, and then I made sure that every one of these pieces had a border of this blue to pull it in all together. And I cut this part off in the middle and flipped it over, which was this just neutral kind of orangey brown color here. And then these are pictures that were taken in the Hudson Valley. The next page is mostly the culinary, but you can see it's October or close to October, and our trees are peaking, but I loved the reflection it made in the water and brought all this blue. So all these different shades of orange and these blue went right with that contrasting colors of orange and blue. This was a harvest moon. Wasn't quite at full yet, but it was just so pretty. I had to shoot the picture. And this is probably the only time you'll ever see my journaling on an actual page. Again, not a fan of my handwriting, but I did feel like it filled in this orange square. And I used a blue pen, so it would be blue. And then I just took little stickers I had that said Hudson Valley. And then on page 2, mostly taken at the culinary. If you don't know what the Culinary Institute of America is, it's a renowned Ivy League cooking school that is here in the Hudson Valley in Hyde Park, New York. It's a beautiful campus. It was an old monastery, so it had bricks. And I always used to joke when I drive by it to my kids and say, oh, Daddy works in a castle, because it does look like a castle. And it was an old monastery. They have kept its official looking bricks. Even when they put a new gate in, everything had to match what Hyde Park wanted to be historic. Because Hyde Park also has FDR's library and FDR's home where he grew up, and then there was Eleanor's estate. So, sorry, I digressed a little bit. So same here. This was the other side of the bird paper. And I really loved the pumpkins in this one because they were so neutral. It made these orange leaves pop right out. And by pulling in the blue on the top here, it makes it all go. That kind of gives the pumpkin a bluish hue. I loved that the colors just made that happen. And of course, sunflower, and I just loaded it on 2 different shades of orange, just like in the picture. This one was one sheet. It was, and again, I loved the difference in this. I loved how it had the different color hues in this part. And I loved that there was orange and some pink to it. It kind of pulled it all together. And then, of course, I put the picture of the culinary's front gate with their fall flowers planted. This picture here is actually a lake they have on campus. You can sort of see the fountain kind of sparkling here. Again, I chose this picture because of all the orange leaves and how pretty they are, in this time of year that they're in. And we also do a Hudson Valley Balloon Festival. And of course, I caught the balloon. I had a bigger picture, but I liked this one a lot because the blue and the orange are on that part of the balloon. Inside the blue sky, inside the orangey yellow paper. So I thought this was a perfect way to use paper, but not use the designs that I like, just to add them in as an embellishment. So that's that one. All right. And then this one is going to represent green and red. I went into my Bougie Bag, and one of the challenges was to use stickers. I wanted to do the challenges even though I'm not participating in them. I love a new challenge, and somebody picking it for me kind of opens up my eyes to think of things differently. These are not my colors. I like all the autumn colors. I like the deep, rich colors. But my grandmother, who this pages are about, loved bright colors. She was always a hit of fashion. She always had the latest fashion. And she loved pinks and orange and reds, and blues were her favorite. Obviously, she loved blue. So here's the green and the pink. And again, this paper's from Doodlebug, and it was in my Bougie Bag. But you could see the yellows right here, and you could see the pinks, which are a hue of red. So they go together. The sticker paper I had, I just took the different stickers and layered them. I put some pop dots behind it. I don't know if you guys know the trick. You can put the pop dots on and then do baby powder to make the rest of it not sticky. And then you could peel the pop dots off and stick it to your page. I use the dots. I never usually do. I did it down the center so it didn't collapse, but I don't usually take the paper off that section because then it doesn't get wonky when you try to push it down on the page. I usually just do 4 spots and then I stick it to the page. And so this is my grandmother's 90th birthday. We went to Anna Maria Island in Florida, and we spent a week with her. And so this is my son Zachary. He was 5 there. And my grandmother and my 2 cousins, Wally and Erin. And then here's the second side of the page I made. You can see the group of us on the beach. And then again, I used the stickers from the Bougie Bag to do the sticker challenge and moved on up with that. I didn't have a little starfish, but I wanted to put something here where it says, like, let's make amazing happen. I stamped that, by the way, and ran it through a die cut that has those little dots through it. What I did, though, is I have single pairs of earrings all over the place. I finally put them all in a container, and I started using them as embellishments. So I put the earring in, and I bent the back behind the green, and then it just gave it that nice little pop, but yet not a wasted earring anymore. So now I can use all my single earrings and put them to good use. So, and again, I took the red, and then I took the green from the Doodlebug's dot paper or pattern paper, whatever, petite patterns, thank you, sorry. And then I just put stickers wherever they fell. I had these really cool star stickers in my stash. And then I cut this from the back of one of the papers. So that is my green and red. And then my last one kind of has a little explaining to be done. So I saved it for last. I will include the instructions on this page to make sure that you can follow it. I would suggest, though, that when you read the instructions, then look at the video again and then go back to the instructions, only because instructions are hard to write. I included pictures so you could sort of see what I was talking about, but I thought what better than the video for you to actually see it. So I'm gonna pull that away for a second, and I'm gonna bring my scrapbook in here, and I'm gonna show you my original one that I made here. Let's get it this way here. I won a competition for this, for having the best scrapbook page, but this is what made me do this for our class for today, our challenge for today. And you can see it's the hokey pokey, and that's what about. And I was able to get a lot of pictures on this and all you had to do was turn the turnstile, and then I put a title there just because I thought it pulled everything together. So it's green and pink, not red and green, but it kind of fits the theme, so we were good. All right, so what I wanted to teach you is don't be afraid of using all different kinds of techniques in your scrapbooking. People are always posting something here or there, or a design, or you follow a group. Andrea is wonderful because a lot of the work she has taken on by doing all the cutting for us, and her directions are amazing. I'm just not that great with written directions as I am with verbal directions. So I wanted to do Christmas because what screams red and green but Christmas. So this is my daughter. She was 2 or 3 in this picture. I'm not 100% sure. So what I'm going to do is show you how I made this page. It also turned just like the other one I showed you. And all her little pictures are in there. And then I left it here for 25 because we didn't really need an extra picture on this side of it. So what it looks like underneath is this. What you're going to need is a circle, 11 and a half. I cut it with my Cricut. This one's 8 3/4, and I also cut it with my Cricut. This is the petite patterns from Doodlebug. This piece is the only piece glued down. So you want this piece glued down so it turns with this red. So if this wasn't glued down, you wouldn't get the lineup of each picture. Okay, so you can see this is the turned part. So then I wanted to mount it on a piece of cardstock because I wanted it to have strength. So because it is a heavier page, not super heavy, but it's got a lot of pieces to it, I thought it would be more stable on the black cardstock. You're not going to see it. It gets covered. I just wanted that strength. But what also served a purpose was attaching the reel, attaching the brad to the paper so that it would turn. So here's the brad. Sorry, let me put this back down. So here's the brad. And what I did is I lined up where this was going to go by using this. All right. And so I needed to cut a picture. So what I did was, I needed to cut the hole for the pictures to show for. So what I did was I kind of marked where I wanted it to start. So then when I marked where I wanted it to start, I took my ruler from here to here and I marked each of the 4 corners. So I took the ruler in this direction and this direction, just kind of took a little pencil mark to mark the centers. Okay. Then I took the brad and I went through all 3 sheets. You don't want the red glued down at all, and the black doesn't need it. But you don't want this red wheel glued down at any point because it won't turn for you. All right, so I marked where I wanted each of these to line up. I took the green paper, pull this aside for a minute, and I cut, with my Cricut, I cut a 3-inch hole. What I did is I took this side, I lined up, I took the 12 by 12 sheet of paper. I just did a square in the Cricut. And then I marked from here to here to where I wanted those pictures to show up. And then I did that about 1.5 inches. It's on the instructions, so the measurements will be there from here. And then I had that circle. I taped this completely around all 4 corners, all 4 directions on my Cricut, and I had the circle cut. For the other pieces, I have another circle cutter, but this is a ring. You can also do these with your Cricut, but you don't need to do them on the paper. You're just going to cut out a red. You're just going to cut a ring. The dimensions are on the directions. And the same with the snowflake paper, which was in my kit. Same thing. It was, I cut it out in a ring. And then I just took a hole punch, a circle hole punch. Again, you could do this with your Cricut hole punch. And I just punched right here. I gave this a straight edge so that it wouldn't overlap and then be messy. I thought about cutting it around, but then you still got that piece on the edge and you want that circle to turn very well. All right, so then I put this part together already so I could see it in my guide. Because I marked my pages, I'm gonna start here. Because I marked my pages with the beginning, I was able to take this, line up, oops, can you see? Sorry, line up all the corners. I actually took it and I smashed it down. And I had this circle here and I had my little eraser point here, knowing I was in the right spot where I wanted to go. So I erased the eraser point and I just took a sticker that said 25. It was one of the sticker sheets in my Bougie Bag. And I just laid that within this circle. So then when I turned for the next page, sorry, I have to hold it because it's not glued down so I could show you. Then I made sure it was all lined up on all sides and I popped the picture here. I held down to this and I took this off and then I put my finger on the picture again. And all I did was take a pencil and draw a very light circle around it. You don't see that circle at all. In fact, I left some of it on here so you could see how I did that. And then you glue the picture down. I would suggest liquid glue behind your pictures for the mere fact that it'll lay completely flat. Sometimes with the other adhesives, you might get a buckle. And you don't want anything that's going to catch on that circle when it spins, on the opening when it spins. So I did that, and all 3 of these pictures I lined up where I wanted them to be. This one I got a little bit off, but it still worked where it was within the ring, so I got lucky on that one. But I would suggest this one should have gone over a little bit, but it did fit my ring when I laid that picture down. And I purposely did put her in an angle because I thought it was a cuter pose. So when it all lined up and it got to the turning section, it all fit perfectly. So another point that you need to know is which way your plastic page protector opens. Do you slide your paper in, or do you attach it to a backing and then then put a sleeve over it? My scrapbooks have an opening on each side versus the top and the bottom. So be cognitive of that when you do this design. All you have to do is just make sure that you have your hole, at this side up on top, and your spinner. That won't work because mine's not that way, but your spinner would be at the top as well, so you can sort of see that. And then you just do the same exact thing and just make your front page more of a portrait versus a horizontal. So playing on this design, I stuck with circles on this page. Then I brought the reds and the greens using the petite paper and some punches I had. Same with the stars. I added some green sparkle and some red sparkle. I fussy cut this from the back of one of the papers I had in the kit. I think it's this paper, the back of this paper here with the candy canes and those snowflakes. And I just cut that out so that it would be, special delivery. And the red circle that came from here, I reused it over here. Couple stickers that say Merry Christmas, and of course this adorable little gnome. I love the sparkle on his hat. I don't know if you can see it, but he's got sparkle. The Nouveau pens would be perfect for that sparkle. And then page 2, I stuck, this is my son, same year. He was probably about 4 or 5 here. And I sticking with the red and the green. I had this ho-ho. So this has pattern paper that's raised, and then the reds and the greens. And I love that it's different shades because the paper head in my pack was this more greener blue color than just plain green. But that same paper pack had the dark green in it, so I knew they went very well together, and it also had that light green. So then I just took in, for this part of the paper, I took in that green petite patterns to pull it all together. And then this is one of the stickers that was on my sticker sheet. And they're snowflakes. And then I just cut the ends of them so they would be nice and neat. These stickers are also from the sticker sheet. I had these leftover circles from when I made the page. So I just added the circle behind and kind of tucked one of the corners in. I tucked this corner in here. I used this other circle I had, and I wrote that as my journaling, what dates it was. I took the sticker, said special delivery. And then the page, I don't know if it shows up very well, but this is little presents. And they have a little bit of silver to them and a little green. And the stars are silver, so they really pick up the reflection of light. So look out for my instructions on how to do this page. I also left you my contact information. I'm happy to speak with you. It's an email to start with, but if you want to give me your phone number, I'd be happy to call you back and help you get through the page. It is really quite fun. It looks awesome on a scrapbook. The only other thing I'd like to mention is when you glue it down, you see the holes here? You want to make sure you're only gluing these corners. Okay, and close to the corners as you can get because the circle needs to move within here. Okay, so you got to glue it down or it's very hard to get the circle to turn. But just do here, here, and here. Leave this whole flap open and make sure there's no glue in the center here. All right, and then you'll have a perfectly little peekaboo turning page. I thank you for your time today. And I really appreciate you all. I love being part of this group, and I love seeing everything you guys create. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Wasn't that fabulous? Like I said, she is such a great instructor and is a wealth of knowledge. And I was so excited when she agreed to tackle this challenge. Don't you love her Evil Queen spread? It's stunning, and the contrast of colors really helps bring that 2-page spread to life. All right, I hope you took on this challenge as well, so we would love to see your creations. For this final creative prompt of our Create and Inspire virtual event, I would like you to go down to the comment section and click on that camera button and show us your project. Also tell us your take. So what 2 colors did you use in your inspiration for our contrasting colors creative prompt? Can't wait to see what you've created.